That's why they call it the media.
Yes.
See, that's why you now have been a station at this point. You all now got the torch. And those kids that we, from the underground metaphysical community of 20, 30 years ago, now that they're starting to wake up, you all now have the responsibility of guiding that atomic energy, because that's what that is. Aren't you atomic beings?
Yes.
Well, if you get focused, aren't you an atomic energy then? And that's what you're doing. You're building a serious nuclear bomb. And that nuclear bomb is going off in consciousness.
That's
There's going to be an explosion of consciousness now. And you all are going to have to guide that energy.
That's right.
See, because they're coming for you.
Yes.
And they're going to say, well, why did they lie to me? Well, look, this is what they lied to me too, child. And then I'm going to clear you up right here. And here it is. And that's what you all are here for.
That's right.
And I could just say, okay, that's it. Now I can maybe sit back and I'll just do some counseling. Yeah, well, just do that and I'm gone. All right.
Can you speak to give thanks? Can you speak to the children that are being born and the ones that have been born recently that are the mito children, the mitochondria children?
Yeah, the mitochondrial children to wake up the seed, what I call the Lazarus seed. The Lazarus seed is the child that has been asleep, that part of our genetics that has been of sleep has been put into a comatose, into a stasis. Right. Well, those children now, because the universe has now ended up in a place around the central sun, we are now in a whole other neighborhood of the galaxy. There's a whole other kind of light value that's being beamed into us. And here's something I'm going to tell you all physics. They lied to you in physics class. They lied to you in astronomy class. They lied to you about what the world is and who the world is and what it is, this solar system we are. We are not circling the sun, family.
That's right.
We don't circle the sun because we're not powerful enough to stay toe-to-toe with it.
That's right.
It's ridiculous for them to give you a schematic of the sun and the planets revolving around it. The sun is moving at some umpteen thousand miles per second.
That's right.
So if the sun is moving with the gravitational force that it has, the sun is not actually staying one place and moving and we're moving around it. The sun is pulling us. So what is happening is the sun is going around the central sun and we're being pulled behind it. And that the Mobius loop that's being made, it looks like an 8. That's the orientation of the planet being pulled behind this huge thing called the sun. And we're doing this, and it's the orientation of the spin doing the Mobius loop that gives us our night and day. We are not going around the sun. So understand and understand that we are in a whole other now vector, because now we're being influenced by everything that the sun is influenced. So know that everything that your physics was, the whole Einsteinian thing came to a point and then it died. Your new hero is Oyibo.
That's right.
Let me say it again. Your new hero, your new physics hero, your new quantum hero is Oyibo. Dr. Gabriel Oyibo with Gagut. That's the new science for tomorrow.
God Almighty's grand unified theorem.
That's the one.
That's right.
And yes, I've done my best to get a grasp of that. The last thing I saw from Dr. Oyibo that really put things into perspective was when he broke down how all science is a branch of chemistry, or alchemy, basically. And I mean, it was very simple. And I always remember a theme that came from your teachings was we're all variations on the hydrogen theme. And he got deep into that, how hydrogen is one electron, one neutron, one proton, and all the other elements are just variations of hydrogen, of that thing. And that in itself, it brings that right brain symmetry to everything, because we're taught that everything is different, because that's how the European sees things. The European sees the difference in everything as opposed to the symbiosis of everything. And that's something that, as I learn the metal nature right now, I'm a very young, neophyte in the metal nature studies, but it connects those two hemispheres, because you have the pictorial representation as well as the phonetic representation, and it's just it opens up to a whole new realm that you feel like you've been left out of, which is the same thing that these youth feel like when they just bump into a Sanu, Phil Valentine, or a Laila Africa, or a John Henry Clark, or you know, and they just say, wait a minute, this is a whole new realm. This goes against almost everything I've been taught up to this point. And there's sort of a frustration that comes along with that, like, well, wait a minute, have I been wasting time up until this point? I'm 18, 19, 20, 23 years old. Has that been all a wash? And that frustration, like you said, we have the responsibility to harness that and guide it. And it's an enormous responsibility when you realize it.
Yes, but you see, what does it do? When you choose, you see, you pick your battles, and your battles define you.
That's right.
So why would you want to fight a little, you know, a gnat? You want to fight a giant.
That's right.
You want to go after Goliath.
That's right.
And so that monumental task makes you monumental.
That's right. And
that's the beauty of it. Raising our children raises us.
That's right.
Because we got to come back through them anyway.
That's right.
Right.
You see.
That's right. All right. At this point, what's the time check there, sister?
11:17 p.m.
11:17 p.m. on the East Coast. That makes it 8:17 p.m. on the West Coast. That makes it 1:17 a.m. GMT Accra time. Thanks for sticking with us over there in Ghana. I know we got somebody over there watching and listening.
We
can't take a Skype call right now, but yeah, they just had that runoff election successfully.
Take it to the
where your vote actually counts somewhere. That must feel good.
Yes.
Speaking of Ghana and the runoff elections, Brother Derek, can we get into some news? There's a lot of crazy stuff going on right now.
I always want to go to the source, you know, Africa, and start there.
Okay.
Look at our brother and look at what is going on in Mother Africa. Of course, we just had, unfortunately, the coup that took place in Guinea. Of course, Guinea with the history of Kwame Ture, our brother Kwame Ture, and his history, of course, with Guinea. But there was a coup there over 2 weeks ago. But I would again turn to our elder and turn to our brother and ask him, you know, just to talk about what is happening, of course, with Mother Africa right now, and its relationship to the United States and its relationship to with China. What we look at going on in Mother Africa right now, especially with this transition from the Bush regime to the Obama regime, and what we will see in Africa.
Well, it's interesting that you said that, because it's going to be the center point quietly, without letting us in the diaspora know about it. All of the industrial countries have been moving their work to Africa and India because of the workforce there, being that it is not as sophisticated as the workforce here.
That's right.
They have grown up and created a mutant here, because this mutant, who's supposed to be a perpetual slave for all time, has now freed his and herself to the point where they have become self-realized, or at least they're in the process of self-realization. Our brothers and sisters in Africa, amongst a few of them, are self-realized, but they have been destroyed by the overwhelming influence of what we talked about earlier, that hypnotic spell of what that outer world that the European created does through their education system. So the Europeans were very smart. They took the young, like we were supposed to, took them into Europe and trained them, Europeanized their brains, and sent them back to Africa. And so now all of Africa has been opened and been made open to the European because of the fact that they have these agents, these educated agents that they've been sending in there. Africa now, there are places in Africa now that looks like the Jetsons from the cartoon series.
That's right.
They don't let us know about it because they don't want an American bum rush of black people going to places where they are now essentially setting up shop.
Yes.
The wars of annihilation, the wars of genocide, are to clear the environments and the territories of countries in Africa, of people, because it is necessary to create a whole new crop, a whole new type of people.
Right.
Now, what did they say? Zbigniew Brzezinski said, in order to save Africa, we must recolonize it.
That's what he said.
So essentially what they're doing now is a 21st century recolonization of Africa by means of the re-education of their Negroes.
That's right.
And but there is a very quiet, what's not quietly is not said is that behind the scenes and in the bush, there is a kind of a Mau Mau energy.
Yes.
Very quietly under the scenes, like us. They're watching everything happening. They're watching the religious churches come. They're watching all their people being Christianized.
Yes.
But there's a germ, one little seed of African thought. Their own culture is still alive. It's still burning. It just needs to be fanned. But just to close out what you're saying, Africa is right now in the middle of a maelstrom of changes, opportunities, and it is now China who is pouring enormous resources in there. However, they are not allowing the indigenous people to grow and to build the things that they're doing. And they have these Chinese workers that they're exporting to do the work. The diamonds, they have people coming over there in Africa now. There's a mountain made of diamonds in an area of Africa I'm not going to talk about. In fact, the washout from the rivers, these diamonds go into other countries, and that's what keeps these other countries alive. This is how many diamonds is in this one place. And the one good thing about it is there's a ring there that no white person is allowed into that part of the country. Otherwise, they would be killed if they're found in a certain territory. But right around the peripherals, where they have brothers coming out with diamonds this large, they have people. They have whites that are like lice, waiting around for these people to cut deals with the people of this country. So I know what's happening in Africa right now. It's because it's so large, because it's so diverse. There are 10,000 languages over there. There's an opportunity for those who want to go in there and disturb it, to control it by confusing it. And then there's an opportunity for those who want to join it and bring it together to make it the powerful people that they are.
Yes, sir. What about all of this talk in the Western news media recently about Somalian pirates, of course, kidnapping and taking ships? And we saw recently where China said that they were going to send one of their ships there into that area of the Gulf of Aden, right near the Indian Ocean. And can you talk about that?
Well, that whole thing that happened in India was Mossad.
Right.
The Mossad are the Israeli intelligence. The whole thing is to try to get Russia and India into a war with one another, and then try to get China and India to fight one another. What we're looking for is a nuclear conflagration, because remember, we have some people who sit in the Vatican who believe that we are supposed to be waiting for the Messiah to come. And for it to come, we have to create the conflagration. So the Somali pirates were hired, actually, by the Vatican and the Jesuits. And they're working through the auspices of the Mossad to transport people. We all know now that the people who were doing all the killing sprees over there in Mumbai, they all had the little red band, which is the red band of the Hindu. So they were actually Hindus hired by Mossad, and they were also Jews, part of the Mossad, that were there, that were trying to foment war. And so what we're looking at in this combination of issues, what we're watching in Israel over there now, and all of these, this is the Illuminati setting the ground, setting the stage for a conflagration that is bound to end up over here. And that's the other part of this. Everything you're planning, I listen to it, and my heart is not at once elated at the incredible, overwhelming energies you all have with this, but there, as one who has been there, I've walked the road just a little bit ahead of you all, and there are things that I'm seeing as I come back to tell you. You all are going to be tested, and the plans that you have are going to have to be modified in such a way, because the attack, as we're looking at it, is going to come very soon. And it's going to make sure that you all are not even thinking about an agenda for the future. They're going to have you only thinking about now. And so what you all have to do now is to be ready and be prepared. Maintain the vision, because that seed can be dug up by your children later on out of the rubble. But always be ready to be surviving in this time. Be ready to store your water, store your food. Collectively know where the community can go to feed. Do not let the people know where you're storing. Do not let the powers that be. Do not talk on your phone will say we're going to put it here on the phone. You talk only in here, so don't even talk in here. You got to talk outside in places where they can't hear you. You got to look at places and see where there are cars. Have people walking the periphery before you have people speaking and talking. This is how it's going to be, because they can see you from up in outer space, and they can hear you from at least a quarter-mile away with the antenna guns that they have.
And take them batteries out your cell phones before you talking.
Exactly. So all of it.
Yeah. So speaking, let's bring that on home. As we talked about AFRICOM, and of course we know inside of the United States there's now CENTCOM,
Yes.
and what occurred, of course, on the 1st of October with President Bush signing and authorizing the United States military forces that have been in Iraq are now working inside of cities within the United States, and how that is now moving to make this more and more a police state and martial law, if not given full control of the United States military over to the United States military, particularly CENTCOM, which I believe is run out of Offutt Air Force Base in Colorado.
Well, what has happened now is that we've always been militarized. Very quietly, they've been militarizing the police stations. They've been militarizing all the police. The police don't step to you unless they come in paramilitary.
That's right.
So we've militarized everything, and that was the Vatican. Again, you got to go back to the Jesuit Black Pope. The Jesuit Black Pope runs a military organization called the Jesuits, the Society of Jesus.
That's right.
The Society of Jesus runs the military. The Society of Jesus runs NATO. The Society of Jesus runs the FBI. They created the CIA. It is the Society of Jesus that runs everything. So what they have been doing over the last 200 years, the Jesuits set a plan down to destroy the United States of America.
That's right.
And they are starting the process, and the process is now in full swing.
That's right.
We are at the final stages. The final stages are the loss of your independence. The fact of the matter is there's a new UN resolution. It was 56-51 that states the United States of America no longer exists. So now you are a 9-districted or 9-encoded area. Just regions at this point. That's all you are. And these regions are going to be policed by the military. They're going to draw them back from Iraq. And they will be policed. You will be policed. Right now, all the experimental weaponry that they've tried out on the people and destroyed the people of Iraq with, they're going to be now the crowd suppression and the lethal suppression that we have in the region.
Well, why do you think there's been so little information, of course, by the media, but particular black media and then black leaders to talk about and to share this information with our people in regards to the reality of what's taking place inside the United States right now and what is about to come into the doors and in the houses and in the inner cities of America?
Yeah, it's already in there through the television. The lies that have made us complacent. The lies that have made us think that there is a tomorrow where a job will be there waiting for you. Right now, as Americans, as you say, as black Americans, we have been sedated. The biggest sedative is our religion.
Yes.
All of our religions. All of our religions have us maintaining a separateness from one another. The Hebrew Israelite black won't deal with the Christian black. And if we deal with the Christian black, is to tell him that the Christian black don't know what he's talking about because I have the true word. Yes. Islam will tell you that I have the final word because the final word was made through here, not letting you know that Islam was created out of the not the Dominican monks, but I forget the name of the monks that created Islam with the very same context of Christianity, using the same, all three using the same patriarchs. So I'm wondering how it is that people can deal with three different religions and have the same patriarch saying Abraham, everyone is talking the same. You got to know it has a specific origin. They come right out of the Vatican. So now they have all three of us killing one another off and cropping the planet the way they need to. And instead of us fighting that little 1/10, that little satanic seed of 1/10 of the planet, that 10,000 people that's murdering and helping to kill off a lot of our people, we are over here scattered between variations of what to call God. So what I'm saying is, just to bring it full circle, is that we are not focused on what it is that we need to stay focused on. That the enemy is the one that looks as if he is our Savior. Isn't that the way he says he's going to come?
That's right.
And that's exactly how he's come to us. Everything that we're doing, the whole military plan, everything is run by them. And you can tell this because tomorrow, Saturday, you will see who runs the world. Saturday, I will show you who runs
Saturday,
the world.
family.
That's right.
Sojourner Douglas College. Doors open at 5. We starting at 6.
No. Doors open at 6.
Doors open
Program at
at 6.
7.
Well, don't meet me there, but beat me there.
Yeah, 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock. for the family.
We want everybody to tell somebody, touch somebody, and bring them on out. But as we're talking about what's going on in Africa, what's going on in the Caribbean, what's going on inside of the United States, when we see this martial law that's coming, and you talk about the destruction of the United States. Recent article in the Wall Street Journal by a Russian professor in which he alluded and talked about the destruction of the United States in the year 2010, and there would be civil war, and there would be unrest in the cities, and what the net result would be once we saw these events taking place. Can you talk about that?
Yes, I spoke about this about 1995, 96 at a couple of my lectures where I said that they're going to have to do something big in order for something to change. I didn't know it was going to be 9/11 because it never surprised me. But I also said that they're going to set off nukes somewhere in the United States.
That's right.
That's going to cause us to go running to them for protection. And then when martial law comes, we're going to welcome it.
Exactly.
We will welcome martial law. These jackboots, like Nazis, will be walking down, goose-stepping in your streets,
Yep.
and you will welcome them.
Yep.
Just like you, as Willie Lynch, will welcome the master. So, how do we do this? We have to wait as a naturopath, because that's what I do as well. You have to understand that when a sick body, or a body that's ill, a body that is diseased, when that body begins to heal, the only way you're going to know what's going on in that body is when that body's intelligence shows you on the surface what it is doing inside. An illness starts at a time when you think you're healthy, but the body is working that disease to the surface. You don't know it until all of a sudden it is in its final stages, and all of a sudden your nose is running, your fever's up. Where did it come from? I caught a cold. No, you didn't catch anything. It caught you. The thing is, the problem is you now attack the final phase. You start drugging the final phase. You start throwing things down your body to stop the body from doing what its divine intelligence did to heal you. Here's the same thing happening on a macrocosmic level. You are now looking at the cleansing of the planet. And the only way you're going to cleanse the planet is if the filth, the muck, the dirt, the disease comes to the surface for you to see it.
Come on.
So until the military is walking down your street, you would know that you already have been under a military rule.
That's right.
Until you see them start to fog and bombs going off, you are not going to be awakened to the reality.
That's right.
This is why they have over 300,000 coffins right there in Atlanta waiting to dump in you.
That's right.
And they can hold 3 bodies at a time. One. So if you have 300,000 and you can put 3 in there, that's 1 million people just in there. That's only one place they got them stored on those places. So they're ready to kill you all off.
Come on.
So either they're getting ready for some incredible solar event like the return of Nibiru, or they're ready to take you out.
Exactly.
And they're ready to rewild America. And I saw the plans for rewilding America. They're getting ready to transport elephants, tigers, and so forth to this area of the world because it's about to turn tropic. The new polar caps are going to be Saudi Arabia.
That's right.
When the world goes through its polar shift. Antarctica will start melting, and you'll begin to start seeing the islands under there with a whole lot of big pyramids that will dwarf the ones that you think that are in Giza right now. So what I'm saying is that the world is getting ready to change like we've never seen it before, and the plans you all are making are seeds that you are dropping into, if not in the ground right now for it to grow, you are now dropping it into the social consciousness which never leaves the planet. And somewhere along the line, your seeds will come along, and they will tap into that social consciousness like the Akashic records. And that's the thing that we have to do, even if we don't see it happen. The planning and the intent. See, intention is what creates. And your intention to do right and to do good and to uplift after the conflagration comes and after the cleansing happens, that's when you are made that way. And then you will become the ancestors that made the way for those who will bring up your dream, make your vision happen.
Now, one more question I guess I have as we talk about that, and I want to thank you for just bringing that on home and making it crystal clear to those that are watching and those of us that are part of the studio audience. But over the past 3 to 4 years, these cataclysmic events that have taken place, such as the tsunami, of course, in Southeast Asia, all the way to the coast of Somalia, and then for the past 3 years, on December between December 21st and the 26th, there have been these cataclysmic events. Just recently, there was an article in the paper that you could read online talking about the earthquakes that have been taking place in Yellowstone National Park. And how that is one of the largest springs, I believe, the 3rd largest spring in the world. Can you talk about those events?
Yeah, side to Krakatoa and another volcano. These are planet enders. These are life enders, species enders. The one in Yellowstone Park has been percolating. They say that scalar interferometry, which is the new earthquake-making weaponry, they're trying to set it off. Some idiot, some fool is trying to set off that particular volcano. What they did was, when it did start happening, the United States had to bomb a part of Las Vegas, and they had to stop the fissure from hitting the volcano, so they exploded and did some kind of 100,000-ton bomb that caused a momentary stoppage of the actual fissure that the scalar interferometry had created. So what we're looking at right now, again, just as we are evolving, the planet itself is evolving.
That's right.
And there are people who know that it's evolving. And we are about to have, like, I got word from a good friend of mine, Sister Myra L. She said that supposedly, and I'm not sure because I haven't confirmed this, but Jupiter
Yes.
just went nova. In other words, it turned into a sun. Now, I don't know how true that is yet, but it said it happened while we were behind the sun, supposedly a few weeks ago. That's going to change everything.
Yes.
Now, are the United States, did they take all our money from us in order to start creating a new civilization on the ground or to do things? You got to look at this.
That's right.
You can't look at the way that they're doing these things,
Right.
and you cannot see these things the way they are and accept it.
Right.
This is monumental. The amount of money that they took from us
That's right.
is somewhere in the avenue of $500 trillion in value.
That's right.
The only reason you would take that much money away to destroy someone is because you're building something somewhere else that you don't want them to know about, even while you're building something to pretend that that's what you're building from this.
Exactly. Exactly.
So you got to look at this thing with layers.
Right.
That's what a three-dimensional thinker, a metaphysical thinker does. He does not take what is given to him or her.
That's right.
They look past that. And this is why I'm still observing, with all this money that just seems to just keep leaking out, where is it going to?
Right.
What would you know what $1 trillion is?
True.
Now you're talking 500 trillion?
Right.
That's in the pie. You know, there's no numbers around there.
Right.
So that's not the issue.
Right.
There's no such thing as $500 trillion anywhere.
Right.
And that's what the Rothschilds are worth.
Right.
And I'm saying, at this point, what does that mean? It doesn't mean a damn thing. There's something else. There's another
going on.
agenda
Yeah.
that we have to
Right.
start looking
Exactly.
at. And then all the signs will begin to tell us. If we don't accept it, then the other signs will begin to make itself evident to us.
I know. Anything else, Robert? I'm sorry.
No, I was.
Well, I know there's been talk about in doing the school shooting Blacksburg
Yeah.
at Virginia Tech, that there was always talk about, of course, the CIA and the United States government DARPA
Yes.
program that was run out of Blacksburg, and how they had underground cities and underground towns there in Blacksburg.
Exactly.
And
that
people
boy
talk
was
about
actually,
that.
yeah, and
Right.
what's his
Korean.
name? The Korean.
I can't think of it.
Yes. Chu, I think, or Chow, I think.
Right.
Yeah, he was a monarch child.
Yes.
That he was grown to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing we are in right now. They're going to have these sleepers awakening,
That's right.
and they're going to do these things that's going to make us think, oh my God, you can't have a gun anymore. Oh no, give your guns away.
Mhm.
Trust us. And that's the thing. We don't have any guns, and we don't have the means to make the bullets to sustain a war.
That's right.
So we have to learn guerrilla tactics. How do we fight an oppressive base? And the thing about it is, no matter what some idiot thinks about controlling the planet,
Come on.
the spirit always creates someone to counter that measure.
That's right. That's right. Mhm.
And to bring enough power to that countermeasure to bring that fool down.
Mhm.
It's always a cycle. So we see it. But you got to remember that there's one beast behind it all. And you have to know the mind that is motivating this. This
Yeah.
world could be extremely peaceful and the most beautiful. This is the pearl. This is supposed to be Eden.
Yes.
But then this devil has come in
Yes.
with his God, Jesus, and thinks that he can impose this sick mind on everybody else. How I call the Creator with what you will say is real. And this is what you will do. And that's insane, because that's doomed to failure to begin with.
Right.
You see.
Right.
Family, if you're just joining us, and I don't know why you would be just joining us, you should have been with us since 9
That's
p.m.
right. That's right.
But we're having a conversation with our brother Sanu, Dr. Phil Valentine,
Time.
again, who will be in town this upcoming Saturday. And if we can just give an update on the time, my brother.
That's right. I believe it's about 11:44 Eastern Standard Time. This is live. That makes it 8:44 if you listen out on the West Coast. About 1:44. Presenting this Saturday evening at doors open at
Sojourner
6.
Douglas College.
Sojourner Douglas College.
It was open 6. We're going to get started at 7.
7
Be there
p.m.
on time. No
A lot of
CD
information to
time.
get out.
Baba Phil said he is going to show you who is running the world.
That's right.
How you gonna miss that?
That's right. And talking about Barack Obama and the new old order.
And it ain't Barack Obama.
No, it's not
Just in
Barack
case you
who
thought it
won
might
no
be.
drama. Obama.
Right.
So
Indeed.
come on out and get the
Indeed.
101 and the 411 on Barack Obama. So again, for more information, you can call 410-889-0100. Again, 410-889-0100. And we're going to be streaming live. Is that right?
We're gonna be streaming
Right
live.
here at www.lib.
LIBTV.
So LIB, we living in the black.
That's right.
All right, but we're gonna be LIP that day, living in Phil. All right, make sure I'm giving you something you can feel. But you're gonna hear from the evolutionary. We've heard from all the revolutionaries.
That's right.
But the revolutionaries, some of them are taking a break.
Right. That's
Some of the radicals going sabbatical on us.
Yes,
Some of the
sir.
nationalists going rationalists on us. But this brother is helping us to take that quantum leap to the next level.
That's right.
And that's what we want to be able to do, take that quantum leap when we look at what is happening in 2008. And there's so much I can say as we closed out 2008 going into 2009, as you talked about, Baba, with just that change and that number 8. But, I just want to thank you for blessing us with your presence in the city and just blessing us with your teachings again, that we can't wait and anticipate this upcoming Saturday. But I want everybody that's listening that haven't gotten their ticket to make sure they call and get their ticket before the drummer get wicked, as P.E. say, in a righteous way.
That's right.
Make sure you get your tickets and show up. But again, I just want to thank you, Baba, for blessing us with your presence and your years of sacrifice, your teaching. And your teaching, of course, as you said, wasn't for that time, but for today. And that's what we're doing now, is we will be speaking on Saturday, but it'll be for a later time.
And one more time, if you want to call for information about getting tickets, it's 410-889-0100. Again, that's 410-889-0100. You're watching or listening to Tubman City Live with Darren Muhammad. We have Baba Sanu, Phil Valentine, and this is Freedom Rider trying to host this thing, hold it down on the audio and the visual. I got some helpers with me tonight, taking care of things so I can get in front of the camera. Not that I really want to be here, but we've accomplished a lot of things here this evening. I mean, we've talked about the roles of the proper gender roles. We've talked about family. We've talked about world affairs. There's something that went on just recently out in California that's got our people a little fired up, rightfully so, with the footage of the horrendous act of this police officer holding down a young brother. I mean, I don't know if y'all seen it yet. I might get the clip up but for closing out when we're done. But I mean, this brother was they already had him bound up on the surface of the commuter train. One officer had a knee in his back, and another officer was watching, and you had the third officer that pulled his gun out of his holster and shot this brother, killed him fatally, while he was being held down by the other police officer. And it wasn't like it was a mistake, because I mean, none of the other officers moved or did anything out of the ordinary. He put his gun right back in his holster, and that was that. I mean,
that was released in order to get you to react.
That's right.
And that's exactly what I was going to say, Bob, because I mean, they had to know, with all those bystanders and today's technology, that somebody had that thing on. Somebody was recording that thing, and it was so casual the way they did it. There was no surprise, no oops, no. I mean, like you said, broadcast to get us in a frenzied state.
Same thing with Rodney King. That's the thing you have to remember. They need that spark to find out the excuse. They need the excuse to pull the military in. That dude, that cop, was military. That's what he was doing in Iraq. He's doing everything that he was trained to do. The cop is no longer a protector. He protects the interest of the oppressor, and he is an assassin. That's all he is. So you cannot look at him as a helper. The ones that they promote on the TV is to make you docile, complacent, and that is supposed to make you accepting of your oppressor. But that is not the case. All the uniforms after 2009, during 2010, will be black. There will be no more of the blues, all the police. Nothing. Everything is back to Nazi black. So that is everything is the attention of that. So that is not going to surprise me. You're going to see more. They're going to try to find out what's going to be the trigger that's going to start y'all.
As they did in Greece. There were many who said that even in Greece, the police officers were disguised. You know, the military was dressing as police officers and created the spark or created the riots in Greece so that they could bring about.
Well, listen to what they've been doing. They were in their masks. You have to remember that I told this to my son. One day he was in New York City. I told him to go up right after 9/11. And I told him, go up to one of those people that you see there, man, the mask and the helmet, and walking around your streets with a loaded M16, which is not supposed to be.
That's right.
I said, go up and talk to him. So he went up there and he said, hey, how you doing? How's everything? Is everything all right? Blah, blah, blah. The guy kept looking around. You don't talk to him. No response. And he said, why did you, so. I mean, how long you been in the military? How long is it taking? When were you called up? You start talking to him. The guy wouldn't talk to him. Then one of the other guys came and said something in some kind of Slavic language, which means the people that's going to be patrolling the streets are going to be people that are foreign soldiers that don't care about killing you. 9 times out of 10, that's exactly what happened with that boy.
Is that all part of the, as we begin to probably wrap up, is that all part of that North American Union? If you can talk about that for those that may not know.
Well, actually, it's part of the whole private military force, Blackwater. 9 times out of 10, he was Blackwater. Because they're being seated around the police departments to start the spark.
That's right.
Remember.
Yes.
That's what Blackwater is. It's a private military force. It is not meant to. It's not a national force. It is a corporation of killers, outright militarized killers.
That's right.
And those are the ones that helped the assassination. I don't know if you saw my death march.
This is Operation Death right here.
Yeah, Operation Death March.
They were talking about.
In Operation Death March, I spoke about it. Exactly.
Parish in New Orleans.
Right. I spoke about that that 50,000 black people were killed in that. And people are saying, well, no, there's only 6,000. No, 50,000 died. It was 6,000, more than 6,000 died with the first wave. People were in their house asleep, but an ocean of water came in. There was no escaping. Men, women, and children were in their house sleeping when that levee was blown. All right, and then we're not talking about the ones that were hunted and killed, the 5,000 that was shot.
That's right.
We're not talking about just the ones that they said was killed. Now that just if the 5,000 that they had admitted to, on top of the 6,000 they said that died, that's 11,000 right there.
That's
right.
So how can they still say it's 6,000 that died? No, 50,000 people. They have whole private cemeteries where they were burying the bodies, and they brought in one of Bush's private contractors to take those bodies out. Yes, they took those bodies and buried them in states outside. So you didn't know where anybody was. They thought that they were swept out to sea. In fact, there were ships in the harbor, ships in the what do you call it? That were bumping into bodies out in the Gulf.
That's right.
That's horrific.
All right, that's how many people. It was a travesty, and that was and we didn't hear about that. We had to hear about that from Russia.
That's right.
Because it was Russian military intelligence and French intelligence that was telling us the real numbers that would get killed there.
That's right. And the Mossad, if you can talk about the Mossad's involvement.
Well, the Mossad is the one. Yeah.
Right.
Well, the Mossad themselves essentially are the Israeli secret intelligence. And the one thing I will reveal to you is that the head of Mossad North America has become your chief of staff.
Ram Emanuel.
Stay tuned more on Saturday night, because we're going to go deeper into the rabbit hole on Saturday night. So make sure you're tuned in this upcoming Saturday, of course, January the 10th at 6 p.m., because we're going to go deeper into that rabbit hole about Ron Emanuel and Mossad inside of North America.
This is Tubman City Live, people. You know, you have to be grateful for the information we get. We're grateful for Baba Sanu coming out. He got off the plane not too long ago. We dragged him in here. We're going to let him go get some sleep. He was gracious enough to come and sit with us. I don't even know. I hope we fed this brother.
Well, I was supposed to eat.
All right, I'm telling on us now. But we hope that, you know, this is something that you find valuable. Bear with the technical side. We're working that out. It's our second week. We would like to get some questions, comments, criticisms, suggestions from you all in email form at info@soulvivorsnation.com. Nothing that will be SOLV as in victory, IV as in victory, AZ as in Zulu. soulvivorsnation.com. info@soulvivorsnation.com. Please let us know you're feeling the program. Tell us we need to get off the air, go somewhere. Just give us some kind of feedback here so we know that you're out there and that this is appreciated. Brother Darren.
I'm going to turn it over to my elder. I'll close this out.
Okay.
You know, just out of respect and our love to our brother.
We always defer to the elders here. We always defer to the elders here, and we love to hear from them.
LIB TV, 7 o'clock.
LIB TV, yes. Baba Phil will be broadcasting live, just as he is right now, on Saturday at 7 p.m. You can join us.
That's right.
By hitting that click buy now button on LIB TV on Living in Black. And you can join us from the comfort of your home. You can keep your bathrobe and slippers on and get that hot food from Baba Sanu. What is that? Yeah, don't bust out the Cheetos. Don't listen to Jabari. Those are not allowed here.
We're going to be live.
You know, don't make her turn the camera back around on y'all.
200 North Central Avenue.
200 North Central Avenue.
We get started at 7.
If you're in the Tubman City area, you're in the Banneker City area, you're in the Ram City area, that's Philly for those that don't know, in D.C. and Baltimore, come on down to 200
North Central Avenue.
North Central Avenue.
Drive-by. A righteous drive-by.
Sojourner Douglas, come on in. Doors open at 6. We will start promptly at 7. And for those that can't make it because you're too far, that's the only excuse we're taking.
Hey, you better not be watching no football that night. You understand what I'm saying, bro? Wall Street getting paid off, we getting laid off, and you worry about the damn playoffs. You better come on out, and the world is way off. You better come on out and get this, brother, on Saturday night, so you can get on.
That's right. That's what we're talking about. That's the only place you need to be. Tubman City Live. We're going to get some closing comments from Baba Sanu, from Brother Darren, and then we're going to say peace to y'all this evening.
Next Thursday we had Dr. Africa. Scott.
Well, I'm first of all, I'm very humbled. I love what's happening here. I want everyone to please reach out and support these brothers and sisters. This is the new way. This will grow. This is an embryo that will grow, and it will take off. But it needs your nurturing. It needs your input, and we want this thing to sail. It has the basic. I'm in here. I'm sitting in here, and I'm feeling the spirit. This is pure. This is good energy. This is something that needs to be nurtured. So I insist and I implore as well that you give your love and give your support, and that money, you know, that fern, that artificial stuff that we use. Give a little bit this way because it's helping. And I would like to say also that this is a 11 year, if you look at it. 11 is a very powerful master number. And so this 9 and 2 that we're looking at is an 11 year. So understand that this is also the year of doubt, because 1 and 1 equals 2. 2 is the first number. 1 is not a number. 2 is the first number. So 2 is the number of doubt. That's why they usually assassinate leaders on the 22nd, because it has doubt. People don't see what they think they see and so on. So understand that this is the time now when you're going to doubt yourself, when you're going to be made to doubt what the truth is. So you have to be very vigilant in 2009, because this is an end time cycle that we're in, but it's an uplifting cycle. This is the time when the destruction is actually a construction. And this is what we're getting ready to happen. The destruction of the old paradigm, the coming down of the old paradigm by revealing itself, and now the resurrection of that new paradigm.
Exactly.
And yes, we are broadcasting live from Zion. If you're plugged in right now, that's because you're not plugged into the other stuff. Speaking on that support, we have, you know, hit us with that email. We got the Obama debate we did with Keedy, Dr. Leonard Jeffries, Brother Tony Browder, and Brother Glenn Ford from the Black Agenda Report. Hit us up for a copy of that. We got Brother Darren and Keedy talking about the 21 Steps of Survival, the Fall of America.
That's right.
Hit us up for one of those. If you just say, you know, we need 5, you know, we need 10 of y'all to buy a DVD tonight. Just to show that, you know, there's some love and there's some support out here. This stuff ain't free. You know, we got cameras over there. I got my little brother need to get something to eat tonight because I ain't eating yet. I got Sister Yah with earphones on over here. You know, I got a studio audience looking at us like we think we know what we doing. We got Feed Baba Sanu. You know what I'm saying? Derek.
I've been well fed tonight. I'm full and my cup runneth over, bro. I just gotta be honest.
That's true. That's for all y'all.
Tonight's show and next week. What we got next week?
Everybody else, their cup runneth over and their spirit is full off of this conversation.
Money where your heart is, not where your mouth
Put
is.
some money in there. You know what I'm saying? We got a bevy of stuff. I'm working with these brothers right now. We're gonna have everything available on the internet, and we're gonna, you know, want to make sure that this thing is well supported.
Even this show.
This show tonight. If you need a copy of this show tonight, holler at us. You know what I'm saying? Right. info@soulvivorsnation.com. We got Baba Sanu this Saturday. Next Saturday we got next Thursday.
Thursday we got who we got coming on this Thursday with us.
We're trying to get Scott Whitaker and Dr. Africa. Even if they can't, if they're coming early enough, we're gonna get
Scott Whitaker and Dr. Africa have the debate next Saturday. We're gonna do our best to get them on the show Thursday. But the debate is next Saturday on should we or should we not eat meat.
That's right.
A discussion. Sorry, not a debate. A discourse.
Yes.
A dialogue, if you will. But it should get a little heated.
It's a debate.
What's our time here?
It's time.
It's 12 a.m.
It is 12 a.m. We are not running overtime. Peace. And we're going to say peace. This has been Tubman City Live. Thank you for tuning in. And hey.
Yes.
We did it.
That's right.
Week 2 in the bag. That's right. So no doubt here. No doubt here. Peace, family. Stop, bro.
Pleasure, brother.
No, pleasure.
Brother Gus stay with us, man. Brother Gus got to get up at Gus got to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, man.
Pleasure's all around.
He said he's still ready, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Thank you for coming and staying, brother.
Oh, Brother Gus, thank you for coming and staying down.
Yes.
Yeah.